Hey warriors, I hope you're all doing well. Rahul Bhaiya is finally back to discuss with all of my CA Inter students for your upcoming May 2026 examinations. This video is going to be talking about all the focus topics and the exam strategy that you should be following for the next 15 days and your examinations starting May 5th as well. This video is going to give you a good insight on what kind of topics you should be paying attention to from a direct tax perspective, giving you an analysis on how the paper pattern is going to look like for those people attempting the exam for the first time. At the same time, a simple strategy from myself on how you can score the maximum amount of marks in the least amount of efforts. Now, let me also give you a disclaimer. I generally have a tendency to put this video a little earlier in the past attempts, but I was running a little late this time because I was unwell. But hey, better late than never, right? I'm sure you're already in mid of your preparation, so this is not going to be something where it's going to start changing your strategy at any point of time. It's only going to help you enhance your strategy better. So yes, if you can take out 30 minutes of your time to look into the video, I'll be really grateful for all of you. This video starts in 3 different stages. First stage is where we're going to look into the ICI paper pattern and understand what kind of paper pattern ICI normally has for direct tax so that you have a better approach on your examinations. Second stage, we're going to look at what kind of order of writing you should have for your examinations and how you should be running through the whole 3.5 hours of your preparations of your exam day so that you do it really well. Finally, I'll give you the whole focus list, which I think personally is important for this examination and you should be paying attention to. So if there is any topics that you've been skipping from this, you probably can use the next 15 days to prepare for them as well. Now, for those people who are watching me for the first time, let me clarify this one thing to you. This is not my expected question list. There's a difference between what we say as focus topics and expected questions. Expected question is where I'm trying to devise what ICI paper is going to be and give it to you as it is. Now, for those who have been smarter enough to realize, Jan 2026 and previous examinations has been a game changer. ICI is not following the standard templates on how we think the topic should be tested or what we think are important areas, but still we are making it in a different sense right now. So this video is only going to show you those areas where you should be paying additional attention to. Because yes, it may be that ICI is changing its strategy and patterns, but the adjustments majorly remain the same and you should be able to score your exemptions nevertheless with just these items as well. So with that approach and understanding is what we're doing this video. Are we ready to go, people? Chalo, let's get into the understanding. Let's talk about this video. First things, the paper pattern. From an exam perspective, I've taken some opportunity to review the last 3 papers and this is how ICI's paper pattern has been. For a direct tax worth 50 marks, 15 marks comes from MCQs and 35 marks comes from descriptive. MCQs in the last 3 years have been devised in the following strategy where ICI is generally giving you 3 case study questions. You have, 2 case study questions and 1 independent question. So you're getting 2 case study questions, each having 3 subdivisions, totally becoming 6 marks and 6 marks. And then we have an independent question which is of 2 and 1 mark each, totaling to about 15 marks. One thing which you'll realize from the MCQs is that none of the topics are getting repeated. Every time ICI has tried to devise an MCQ question, they've always kept it varying. Matlab, every single topic can be tested. But there is one thing which I am realizing from the paper pattern. I'm sure you're realizing it as well. Amendments are always being tested. Amendments carry good amount of weightage in every attempt from exam perspective and therefore you should be paying attention to amendments in the examination because that will easily get you that 6 to 8 marks in examination that you deserve for yourself. Now, lucky for you people, in the current year, except for TDS, there is not much significant amendments and therefore it can be easily covered off for your examinations to score that good marks. So please do pay attention to amendments, especially from MCQ perspective. Coming to the descriptive part. On the descriptive part for 35 marks, how ICI devises this is that ICI gives you 4 questions. The first one being a compulsory question and then the last 3 questions, you have to choose any 2. Which means the choice is given in your hands to choose 2 out of 3 questions where each question in the 2, 3 and 4 is going to carry about 10 marks. So there's going to be 6, 4, 6, 4 and 6, 4. You have 10 marks each. You have to choose one of the 3 questions. You have to choose 2 out of 3 questions. Out of the balance, you have a compulsory question of 15 marks coming into picture. That's a 35 marks weightage for your examinations. Now, the one thing which you will realize from this paper pattern itself, people, is that ICI's template for the descriptive has not changed. Notice, the first question is always going to be a comprehensive question, comparison of DTRs and ATRs, meaning this is going to be a full-fledged total income question with an adjustment to compare what is happening between DTR and ATR and confirm which regime is better. Second is always a question which is coming from residential status and scope of total income. So they are paying good attention to that chapter despite it being the easiest chapter and carrying 6 marks in examination. 2B has always been the trickiest of the chapters, which I'm sure everyone also realizes, the TDS one. Despite it being a lengthy chapter, it gets you only 4 marks in examination. So yes, less weightage, more efforts. Next comes your question number 3 and 3B. 3A and 3B is a varied question where the whole 3A and 3B is going to be heads of income. Any 2-3 heads will be taken up and they will prepare a question for you. So 3A and 3B requires you to have a good understanding on the heads of income to be able to approach it off. Question number 4 is what I call as my best approachable question. Question number 4A always talks about clubbing and set off. Two easy chapters which carry about 5 to 6 sides but can get you 6 marks in examination. And comes your question number 4B, which is your theory question. Now, theory is about 5 to 6 theory questions, that is maximum there in direct tax. You maximum have about 5 to 6 theory questions, but with that 5 to 6 questions, you can easily score off 4 marks in examination. Now, if you are smart enough, you would have realized one thing. Out of the paper pattern, question number 4 looks like a very easy and approachable chapter if you put your foot down properly. And therefore, question number 4 is always something I say should not be skipped. While yes, question number 1 is more compulsory, I think question number 4 should be authoritatively more compulsory for you people, because that's the place where you're going to get the maximum amount of marks, but with the least amount of efforts. Yes, so that is what I have a strategy of. So let's talk about strategy. Strategy issue number 1. Rahul Bhaiya, I have a simple problem. I take my question paper, I take the first 15 minutes, I start solving all the MCQs in the first 15 minutes and then I start writing. Worst strategy ever. If you start approaching MCQs in the first 15 minutes itself, you're going to lose your precious time to understand which question you should skip off. Then when you start doing questions, you will have a gamble to play with. At that stage, without even looking into it, if you start figuring out a random question, and if that question does not work out in your favor, it's going to be a nightmare. You'll start scribbling around, you'll get panic modes and examinations. That is a wrong approach. At the same time, the more time you spend on MCQs in the first time, you will have the less amount of time for it at the later stages. So no, never use your 15 minutes for MCQs. 15 minutes are given to you to do only one thing, for you to figure out which question should be skipped. That is the approach which you should be following. So which means in the first 15 minutes, you're going to open up both your direct tax and indirect tax paper, and you're going to figure out which are the questions that I should not be attempting for your examinations. Similar to direct tax pattern, indirect tax also expects you to skip one question out of 2, 3 and 4. So yes, there are about 4 subdivisions you're going to skip. Any 2 subdivisions in DT and 2 subdivisions in IDT. Now that's the approach you should follow. How should you be doing that, Rahul? I'll give you a simple trick. I'll tell you, first thing is question number 4 cannot be skipped. That's an easy question you should be able to answer. The choice is between question 2 and question 3. Now, question 3 is what I will generally recommend you to skip, because it takes a lot of time for you to complete both the heads of income question. But for those people who are not preparing on the TDS part, you and I both know that some people have chosen to skip TDS for examination considering the length of it. And therefore, for those students who are going to skip TDS, you don't have a choice. You will have to skip question number 2 in its entirety. So the choice is fairly simple. If you attempt question number 2 for TDS, go forward with question number 2. It's the same as question number 4. Theoretical topics, you can easily score good amount of marks in least amount of time. But if TDS is something you're not able to click in examination, you don't have a choice but to approach question number 3. So the first 15 minutes is fairly simple for you. In the first 5 minutes, all you have to do is you have to open up question number 2 and you have to ask yourself, am I able to answer the TDS question? If you tell me, yes, Rahul, all the adjustments look favorable, all the adjustments look easy, I remember these adjustments, I can answer it off, immediately pick question number 2, pick question number 4, pick question number 1, you know DT is ready. Move to IDT, figure out the same pattern, try to understand which question you have to skip off. Then, if you still have time pending, if you think, yes, Rahul, I still have time pending, don't start writing. Go to the MCQs. You cannot complete the case studies at that stage, but the independent ones can be finished off. So immediately go and identify the independent MCQs in both DT and IDT and finish it off. If you do that, now you have already completed about 3 plus 3, 6 marks of MCQs in the 15 minutes. Plus, you've also figured out which question to move on. Yes, when the approach is clear to you people, at this stage, you will start writing. And the order of writing is here. The order of writing, as per my belief, is to always start with question number 4, because it's going to be the easiest question and is going to get you the highest amount of marks. 10 marks for an easy, simple question where you just have to write clubbing and set of rules and you just have to attempt one theory question. You can easily finish it off in a matter of 10 minutes. 10 minutes for 10 marks, huge bonus. Then the choice question which you made, the question of 2 or question of 3, whichever choice you made. If you did question number 2, faster to complete, more marks. If you do question number 3, will take a little bit additional time, but still fine as compared to not getting good marks in question number 2. This is the approach. At this stage, people, you would have moved on to IDT as well and followed the same paper pattern. Once all this is done, immediately move to IDT compulsory question number 1 and try to finish that off. But at any stage, if you're running late, if you hear the bell of 4 o'clock, when the examiner comes to you and comes and says, this is the last 1 hour left to you, please drop all your pens. Please drop your pen, please drop your paper, shut down, close your descriptive paper and immediately move back to MCQs. Last 1 hour length, 20 minutes is for you to sit and do your MCQs. With the pressure that is hitting your head, now MCQs will be done faster. You will stop imagining things, you will stop thinking about it twice, and you will only simple go and write the answer there. That is the imaginative difference which will happen when you do MCQs at the immediate 1 hour left. Yes, so 30 marks worth of MCQs, if you can sit at the 4 hour clock and you can finish it off in 20 minutes, you will now have a sufficient amount of time to come back to all the pending questions which you have in your descriptive part. But the moment you complete that 30 marks of MCQs, you will have a certain amount of confidence. For you to clear 40 marks in the paper, 30 marks is already done with you. That confidence is what is going to build you and help you for the next pending 40 minutes in your examination. So yes, please stop everything at the 4 o'clock slot and do MCQs. That is what I would approach. Then finally, people, if you have something pending, go forward and complete your question number 1 or the balance questions which you ever have in examination. Now, let me confirm one thing about this strategy. The biggest issue in this strategy is one simple thing. When you're juggling around DT and IDT, there is chances that you may tend to skip things, and therefore be very, very careful on what you complete off. Keep marking them so that you don't make that error. 2. Please make sure that you don't focus on question number 1 to a significant extent. Now, I know it's a compulsory question. I know it's going to carry 15 marks, but you need to realize in your past experience as well, 15 marks is not something you can finish in 15 minutes. 15 marks sort of question easily takes about 40 minutes if you have done it properly well. And therefore, question number 1 from my expectation is a pure question which I call as brownie points. Yes, this is a question from which I'm only expecting to get brownie points, which means completion of the question is not as important as scoring marks in this question, which simply means that even if you don't complete the question number 1 before the ring of the 5 o'clock happens, it is completely fine. You will not be able to complete your paper properly if you have done the paper pattern properly. Question number 1 will always be left out, but even otherwise, in a 15 mark question where there are 10 to 12 adjustments, if you're able to put your foot down and complete about 7 to 8 adjustments, you will have that amount of confidence, because take it from Rahul Bhaiya, ICI does not expect you to complete the paper anyways. ICI's intention is very simple. Question number 1, each adjustment carries its own mark, and therefore ICI is giving you adjustment wise marks, and every adjustment marks is a brownie point for you. Yes, so please be smart, please be careful. Do not focus on completing question number 1 in the early stages. Keep it till the very end, finish whatever you can, get the maximum amount of marks from it and feel satisfied is what my simple request is. Now, if you are smarter enough, if you are faster enough, if you complete question number 1, good for you. But if you don't take it to heart. It's completely fine. Trust me when I tell you this. I know I am not supposed to be telling you to not complete your paper, but Rahul Bhaiya is talking personally as a friend to you more than a faculty, trying to make it extremely clear to you. Yes, so please follow this approach, people. And if you don't trust this approach, I would strongly suggest try it out once from your side. You have the next 15 days in your hand. If your preparations is done and you're only on the mock test stage, try this approach and see how faster you're able to complete the paper and if it works with you. If it does work with you, follow the approach. If it does not work, figure out something which works in the best favor of yours. But I tell you, trust me when I tell you this, in the last 5 years of my experience of teaching, students have really made a huge impact with this approach and they have done really, really well in examinations from a direct tax perspective. Yes, good. This was your step number 2. That leaves me with the last tip, the one which you have been waiting for. What, Rahul, according to you, are the focus topics? Now, Rahul Bhaiya has decided to split the focus topics into three categories. We call it category A, category B, and category C. This is not an ABC analysis. ABC analysis is different from focus topics, people. ABC analysis basically comes and tells you how much of the full paper where you should be focusing on what. No. Focus topics come and tell you that these are all the topics which are important from examination and will be tested. However, how you should be approaching these chapters is what is discussed in this. Which means, as you all know, TDS is a compulsory 4-mark question, is an examination question, but is still in category C. Because category C does not talk about things which are not important. Category C talks about things which are important but take too much efforts to complete. Vis-a-vis category number A, topics which are important and can be completed better as compared to TDS. That's the approach when it comes to focus topics. Are we clear? Yes. Without understanding, people, I'm simply going to list it out for you. I'm sure you'll be able to understand it on your own as well. First things is your topic number A. Topic number A, what are the important topics, people? The first thing very obviously is going to be your tax rates, because in the current year your DTR has amendments. DTR has been amended, your rates have been amended, so you are going to focus on DTR tax rates with the rebate conditions, which is the 12 lakh rule right now. That is something which is going to be tested. If not in the compulsory question, definitely in the MCQ pattern. I am expecting a rebate related question in the MCQ pattern. Take it from me. So please be very careful on reading that question very, very carefully. Next, we are going to have the second leg in the same tax rates, which is the SAP capital gains tax rates. But this time, pay more attention to it, more from DTR perspective, because as you all know, current year amendment comes and clarifies that if a person is choosing DTR, default tax regime, he cannot claim rebate on any special incomes, including capital gains. So yes, a complemented question from capital gains and DTR can be asked in question examination, more so from a case study perspective, where they'll give you the incomes and they'll expect you to calculate tax, especially in a model where the person's overall income will be less than 12 lakhs. So be extremely careful on that question from an examination perspective. Yes, chalo. Topic number 2 is going to be residential status and STI. I don't have to tell you this, people. A mandatory question in examination of 2A, and therefore if you are going to complement TDS, RS is the question to start with. You have to start RS, and it's an easy chapter. Trust me when I tell you this. 6 pages, people, and you can easily finish off 6 marks worth of examination topic. So yes, every single thing in RS and STI to be focused upon very, very seriously. Third is going to be your salaries computation. Now, salaries is always tested in question number 3. So if you are going to skip off question number 3 and do question number 2, this may not be as important. But from an MCQ perspective, certain things you should keep in mind. First, when it comes to salaries, there are 2 amendments in the current year which you should be paying attention to. The first amendment is on the specified employee rules. Who does become a specified employee in income tax as per salaries? And next is your medical benefit rules, where medical benefits outside India have a change in the limits. These 2 limits have been notified in the current year. So I do expect a question coming from there in examination. Please pay attention to that. Next is your benefits relating to RFA, rent-free accommodation, HRA, house rent allowance, PF benefits, especially on the 12% contribution and 9.5% interest. Car perquisites, part official, part personal rules. Then you have concessional loan interest, one of my choice, which I think should be tested in examination, on how to calculate the concessional interest rate on loans from an SBI benchmark. These are some adjustments which I think you should be paying attention to from salaries perspective, because adjustments from these nature are expected in exam. Now, every other adjustment that you know of, people, simple allowances, simple benefits relating to your food and all those things are anyway important. But then I am pretty sure that you are smart enough to figure them out on your own. These are the topics which I think students end up making mistakes, and therefore I've notified it for you so that you pay more attention to them. Yes? Chalo. Let's move on to next topic, which is your PGBP. Needless for me to say, people, it's going to be part of your compulsory question, and all brownie points are coming from PGBP chapter. And therefore, to get your brownie points properly, these are the topics that I would recommend you focus upon. First things, depreciation rules. How to calculate depreciation. 43B rules, the payments which has to be made before the due date of filing of returns. TDS defaults. If you don't deduct TDS on time, how does a disallowance happen for resident and non-resident? Cash transactions, payments exceeding 10,000 rupees other than by cash modes, or other than by permissible modes. 40A2, related party transactions, all payments from related parties to be made within market values. Interest on loan, computations where it comes and says that the asset has not been put to use, how to calculate borrowing cost. 43B MSME payments, the one thing which ICA has been testing in almost every attempt of late. How do you calculate 43B disallowance for an MSME payment which exceeds 45 days and 15 days conditions? These are some adjustments which are commonly tested in every examination. So yes, please pay focus on that. This is where your brownie points come in. If you don't complete the question also, noticing these adjustments, making modifications on that is going to fetch you the amount of marks that you deserve for yourself. Second is your PF contribution rules. This is something which I personally put from my side only for one reason. May 26, September 26 and Jan 27 is the last attempt that PF contribution rules can be tested off, because after that ICE income tax has been modified in the new income tax 25 with these rules. The more impact on these rules are only in the last 3 attempts, which is right now, and therefore in the next 3 attempts ICA is going to ask you questions from these topics for sure. So please pay attention to the PF contribution rules. The employer contribution to be paid before due date of ROI, whereas employee contribution to be paid before 15th of next month. That is what this provision says, so be extremely careful on that. Then comes your employer contribution to NPS, a topic which of late has not been tested in examination, but I do expect this question to come because this is the silent thing. Adjustment which most of the students tend to ignore of in examinations and don't pay attention to because they get confused with other things. The employer contribution to NPS rules, which says that you should not contribute more than 14% of employee salary because the difference will get disallowed, is something which is more tested at CA final level frequently enough, but is also part of CA inter level. So please pay attention to it and make sure that you read this adjustment this time in case it comes in examinations. Then is your differences when it comes to DTR and ETR. This is one thing which I recommend you prepare a summary sheet for yourself. A manual sheet, people, or probably if you refer my concept guide as well, the DTR chapter comes and gives you this list. Please make sure to carry this along with you so that whenever you get a compulsory question and they ask you for the differences in ATR and DTR, you can easily identify all the differences and make that modifications accordingly. It's going to be part of question number 1, compulsory question. Yes. Chalo. Finally, the presumptive rules. Personal thing from my side, people, because ICA has been missing this out for a very long time right now. I somehow have a feeling that in the next 3 attempts, ICA will try to test you on presumptive rules because students have been paying less and less attention to it as we speak. So yes, presumptive rules is for you to pay attention on. Please make sure that you read this properly for this examination. Yes. Then comes your next chapters, your capital gains topic. Capital gains, what is important, people? I always recommend 2 things as important. One is your capital gains on immovable property, and we already have a complete format if you remember. For those students who have taken classes from me, have a beautiful format of capital gains on immovable property. If you can focus on that format properly, trust me when I tell you this, you will get a question in that. I can prove it to you from the sheet itself, people. Notice immovable property in MCQ, immovable property in descriptive, immovable property in MCQ, something which has been tested in all the 3 attempts in the last ones, and I am expecting to continue with that. So therefore, capital gains on immovable property will be the question which probably will come in 3B this time. So please pay attention to capital gains on immovable property. If you have the proper format with you, you will not have to use your head at all. You can simply refer to the format and the format will give you the right answer. Yes. Next, something which I have very high expectations in examination in the current year, and I would really appreciate if ICA does this in this attempt after noticing the Jan 26 paper, the slump sale computation. If ICA does test you on the slump sale computation on capital gains, trust me when I tell you this, the paper can be deemed as easy for the current year because this is an adjustment which has not been tested for a couple of days, for a couple of attempts, but if it comes, it's always the easiest one. Yes, so please pay attention to capital gains on immovable property and slump sale computation. To complement these two, focus on the exemptions as well. The exemption list of 54 which says that you can sell a house to buy a house, 54EC where you can sell a house to buy bonds, and 54F where you can sell other things to buy a house property. These 3 exemptions, please pay attention to it. It will anyway complement the item sitting on the top, so you have to read it along with it. Make sure that you do it properly. Then we have your IFOS, people. Now IFOS as a chapter itself is that simple. You don't have anything else to read. There is a very small chapter, but if you have to focus on a few things which I will ask you to focus upon is the post office savings, because this is one thing students tend to generally miss out in examination. Don't pay attention to the fact that post office savings have an exemption of 3,500. Please make sure to remember that. Next is your gift provisions. Obviously, people, if you're going to get an IFOS question on question number 3, gift is always going to be there. The gift relating to immovable property, the gift relating to specified properties, all those things will be tested in examination no matter what. And finally, the dividends part of it. No doubts, people, when it comes to dividends, ICAI always tests you on two things which students generally tend to make mistakes on. Is one, relating to your cap on the dividend exemption, where you say that if you are going to have any interest expense cannot exceed 20% of the dividend. One adjustment which many students generally tend to forget off and end up making mistakes. So please pay attention to the fact. And second is obviously the deemed dividend of 222E. The loans and advances which are given to shareholders are treated as deemed dividend to the extent of accumulated profit is one adjustment. Most of the students tend to miss out in examination because they have an accounting brain, and the accounting brain tells loans and advance is never an income. People, this is income tax. Accounts is stupid. Don't relate each other. Please make sure that you tax it accordingly. Yes, so these two adjustments is what I pay attention to no matter what. Finally, people, coming to clubbing and set off, no doubts I had to put this in focus topic number 8 because this is the most important topic you should always be starting your paper with. Clubbing and set off has certain things which I would like you to pay attention on. Despite the fact that the whole chapter itself is small and you can finish the whole thing, these are ones you can probably pay attention on. Partner tax rules, people, something which ICAI has been testing in almost every attempt right now, where ICAI will tell you that you are a partner of a partnership firm and you're receiving salaries, interest, share of profits and all. Please make sure to have the partnership rules done very, very carefully, because that is going to be the starting point of every clubbing and set off question and you make mistakes there. Second is going to be your minor adjustments. ICAI has not tested you minor adjustments in the last 2 attempts, and therefore I expect that to be part of this attempt for your examinations. Third is your remuneration to spouse. The fact that if you are holding substantial interest and your spouse is receiving salary from a concern where she does not have adequate qualifications and technical expertise, those kind of remunerations are going to be clubbed in your hands. Please pay attention to that. From a losses perspective, I think 2 losses that I would like you to pay attention on. First is your CG loss. The fact that CG loss can only have internal adjustments, cannot be adjusted against other heads, is something students tend to make mistakes on. And last thing is called your speculative loss, because last I remember May 2025, ICAI tested this beautiful adjustment where ICAI was trying to tell you that you got losses from futures and options. Students making this horrible mistake telling that futures and options are speculative loss and should be set off only against speculative incomes. No. ICAI has made it extremely clear that speculative only means intraday trading. Anything other than intraday trading is not called speculative. So that's a mistake you're going to make in exam. Please pay attention to that from a set off perspective. Yes, this is all the topics that I personally feel is important from topic number A. Places where you should pay extreme amount of attention and make sure that you've covered these topics for your examination. Clear? Yes. Chalo, let's move on to topic number B. All kind of focus topics number B are basically those topics which standalone have no importance. These topics are complementing topic number A. So which means as you're reading topic number A, you have to pay attention to topic number B as well, because they are going to get you equal amount of marks as much as topic number A are going to get you. Topic number B has certain things which you have to keep in mind. First is your chapter 6 reduction. Obviously, because chapter 6 reduction carries marks in the compulsory question, sometimes it also comes part of MCQs. Some topics of chapter 6A which I would like you to pay attention on is going to be ATD, medical insurance benefits, ATCCD, NPS contribution, only for one reason, because there is a very minute amendment in the NPS contribution. The fact that you can now contribute for your minor as well and still get deductions. So that an amendment which you have to keep in mind. Then comes your ATJJAA. No doubts about it, people. One of the most important deductions that you should be reading for examination, because this is the only amendment, this is the only topic which is relevant in both DTR and ATR. The only question which can be adjusted in both DTR and ATR. And so expectation on this question is always high in examinations. 4 is going to be the smaller ones, the ones which generally get tested in compulsory, your ATC, which is your normal deduction, ATG, which is your donation, and ATE, which is your interest on education loan. These are the 3 topics that you should be paying attention to, because this will be there in the adjustments no matter what. Clear? Yes. Complementing topic number 2 is going to be HP. Obviously has never come in as a standalone question in examination, is always part of a combination question in exam. Either becomes part of your MCQs or comes in as a complementary with salaries in 3A or 3B as the case may be. Yes, so from an HP perspective, technically the whole chapter itself is small and simple and you should be able to handle it on your own. But still, two topics which I would like you to pay attention on because it always gets tested is one relating to part SOP and part LOP. The provision which says that a house is going to be split into SOP and LOP separately. Please make sure that you read that carefully because that is important for exam. Second is going to be your pre-construction interest rules. Now, this is one topic I always tell you to keep it as importance because students tend to make silly errors in this. So please make sure that you've understood the pre-construction rules properly and don't end up making any mistakes in the pre-construction guidelines. Yes. So for that reason is what pre-construction interest is given. Beyond that, yes, HP, very chill, not a big deal. You can manage it off from your side. Clear? Chalo. Next things is your theory topic, people. Theory topic is 4B, where in theory topic I've listed out all the expected theory questions which can come. If you can get these questions sorted for you, 4 marks is guaranteed in examination. Yes, so please focus on these theory topics for exam, and one of these questions should be tested in examinations. What are the theory topics? The first case is what are the situations where previous year and AY is the same? The 5 examples that you have in chapter number 1. Second is how to calculate the interest under section 201(1)(a) when TDS is a defaulting area. Third, what are the conditions in which you have to file a return in India? What are the scenarios where a person will be expected to file a return in India? Fourth is the most important one, people, the updated return guidelines, because current year has an amendment. Amendment in updated return is the only amendment in the whole chapter, and therefore the expectation on this topic is extremely high for this attempt. Next is your revised return rules, a simple theory question which is asked multiple times in examination, where they would say that the person has made mistakes and would like to revise a return. What are the conditions? By when should you file a revised return? Next is what are the consequences of filing a belated return? If you file a return late, what impact will happen on you? Simple 4-mark theory question. Finally, what is the Aadhaar conditions? Now, this is on my last priority because for some reason this has been tested almost every time in the last 3 attempts, and so I say I may try to spend away from this. But yes, Aadhaar has a very small amendment in the current year on how Aadhaar consequences will not apply for the next 2 months. So for that one reason alone, I have Aadhaar in this topic, but otherwise not very critical. Finally is your advanced tax applicability. The simple straightforward 4-mark question which will come and ask you what are the persons who are liable for advanced tax, what are the due dates for advanced tax, how much payment should be made in each due date. That is a simple straightforward question you can expect in 4 marks. So if you can cover this topic, people, it will really complement your clubbing and set off, and you can answer the question number 4 in the beautiful manner from your end. Clear? Finally, we are moving on to topic number C. Focus topic number C only has one topic from my side, which is TDS and TCS, for only one reason. This is going to carry marks, but it's going to take efforts out of you. So if you can cover this, good for you. If you can't cover it, be smart enough, skip off question number 2 and move to question number 3 accordingly. Yes? Chalo. Now, from a TDS and TCS, what questions which I would expect in examinations? One is definitely the LRS one, because LRS has a huge amendment in the current year on what are the limits for LRS. At the same time, what are the benefits which is granted to you if you are going to have a person who's going to send money outside India as educational loan. So those kind of rules are expected in this thing. Please be careful on that. From another perspective is the one thing which is going to be challenging in current year is that every single threshold in TDS chapter has been amended. So yes, you will have to remember all the new thresholds of TDS. If you can, then you can easily answer the TDS question in the current year. Now, if I have to notify one section which is important in TDS, I would honestly put my bet on 194I. My honest bet on 194I would be the reason because 194I against every other section has a very minute adjustment of saying, now I'm not going to look at the rent from an yearly perspective, but I'm going to look at the rent from a monthly perspective. So that is one critical area which I think students can end up making mistakes, and for that one reason alone, I feel 194I can be a tested question in examination. So that one topic I would give you as an handover. Yes. Good. Now this is what focus topics ABC looks like. Now if you notice this carefully, I'll be very forthcoming to you to tell you this, that I have intentionally skipped off certain chapters like AMT, chapters like 10AA, chapters like agricultural income has been skipped off in this only for one reason. Agriculture income was extensively checked and covered in the last attempt. Jan 2026, you had an extensive question on agriculture income. So I personally feel that ICI should not test you on that chapter in the current year, because then it will dilute the weightage. But this is ICI, so we can't put our foot forward. What I'm trying to tell you people is that these are the topics where I expect maximum amount of coverage of your syllabus. So yes, I am taking a very conscious call on skipping a few topics. I leave the burden on you to decide for yourself if you are comfortable doing the same. If yes, continue with this, and I can promise you there may be some topics which may come beyond the scope, but still will not be so significant enough that you may not clear the attempt. This topics will make sure that you clear maximum amount of marks in the paper, and the guaranteed exemption of every other topic is just going to be ancillary and is anyway going to be part of the skip level topic. So you can skip it as a part of the optional question examination, which should not impact you at any point of time. Yes, so I would suggest keep it simple, keep it short. If you are running on fuels right now and there is a challenge coming up on your preparations, I would suggest focus on these topics and definitely try one paper with this order of writing so that you can get the maximum feel of how the paper is going to look like. If not, if you're already preparing really well, forget this focus topics and do it as much as you can so that you have the confidence in your examination nevertheless. That's it from my side, people. Thank you so much for being patient with me for 35 minutes to get through this. I know you're in the middle of your preparations, but I'm hoping that this would help you prepare a little more better for your examinations in the coming days. All the very best for the next 15 to 20 days where you're going to put your foot forward and get the examinations done through. Hustle this for the last 20 days, people, and I can guarantee you CA final is waiting for you as eagerly as possible. We are also waiting for your CA final approach to come in very soon. And so yes, CA Inter should be the one attempt you should be clearing as quick as possible. Let May 26 be the final attempt that you call CA Inter bye-bye and you welcome yourself for CA final examinations. I will take a leave for today. I will see you all very, very soon in an upcoming video with some more insights and some more short tips and tricks so that you can do your examination really well. Until then, have a happy time reading for your examinations. Take care. Bye-bye.